Greetings, and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And this month's topic is now coming to an end, as all good things eventually do, except Doctor Who, of course, because that'll never end. But so we are going to wrap this up with the same person we started this month with, the cyber controller of rock and roller, the Snark in Space.
That's
How
right.
are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Nice to bookend the month with you, 50.
Yeah, it's always nice when these things work out. So, of
Mm-hmm.
course, as a regular veteran guest of this show, you probably know what this how this goes by now, right? You know what comes
sure.
next, right?
Rankins.
Before that,
Oh, I don't know. What do you mean? I thought
I
we were.
mean,
Go ahead.
I just set you up as a regular guest of the show who supposedly knows what's about to happen.
Yeah, I thought it's the month end. We've gone through all the eras of Cybermen. Now we're gonna rank which ones we think look the coolest.
But we got the birthday section first, right?
Aren't we gonna do that last? I'm just kidding.
No,
That happened once.
we are not. That was a bad idea from the start. Okay, so for this month this week we are going from the 22nd of August all the way to the 28th. And on the 22nd we have a woman by the name of Honor Blackman.
Sure.
Yeah, she played a character called Professor Lasky in one of the segments of the Trial of the Time Lord, Terror of the Vervoids, as well as a woman known as Anahita in The Children of Seth from Big Finish.
Yep.
But you probably know her for something else, right?
Yeah, she has an interesting name in that show as well. What was that name again? 50?
Her name?
Oh, I remember it. Pussy Galore.
Yep.
Goldfinger.
Exactly. So she was a Bond girl before she was in Doctor Who, and she was in The Avengers. The British version, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So nice to have some pedigree there. Continuing on our birthday section list, also on the 22nd, we have Mr. James Corden, who of course played the
roommate.
pseudo companion / roommate / beloved father, Craig Owens, in Closing Time and The Lodger, of course. He probably would have gone on for even more episodes, but well, his career kind of skyrocketed after Doctor Who. Whether or not it had something to do with that.
Well, he had a show called Ned and Stacy that was pretty popular in the UK.
Yeah,
I'd say
well,
on Friends level par.
Also on the 22nd, this is another person you might recognize for something other than Doctor Who. Mark Williams. Brian Pond, who played, of course, the father of Rory Pond in the 11th Doctor era. He also played one of my least favorite companions in Big Finish, Maxwell Edison. But I do like the Big Finish interpretation much more than the comic book version. But yeah, it's interesting that he kind of played these two one-off sort of companions. And of course, he's Mr. Weasley. I mean, that's a given at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of,
and Father Ted.
What?
And Father, what was his name? Was it Father Brown? The Father Brown Mysteries. It's a huge show in England as well.
So he basically made his life career playing father figures.
Sure.
Famous father figure.
Yes.
And speaking of the Harry Potter universe, on the 24th we have the guy that basically narrated the entire story on Audible, Mr. Stephen Fry, who of course played the character C in Spyfall, a tragically short-lived role, but I mean, at least they got Stephen Fry in Doctor Who. Wish they bring him back for something much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of roles that were tragically cut short, also on the 24th, Mr. William Morgan Shepard, who of course is the father of De- Max Shepard, who played, of course, the character of Canton Everett Delaware III, and he played the older version of that character, played by his son in The Impossible Astronaut.
Mm. He looks
Uh,
like he'd make a good Popeye. Or what's
actually,
his name? Popeye's dad there, whatever his name is. I can't remember.
it actually does, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this episode seems to be just filled to the brim with obscure companions because on the 25th we have Jessica Martin, who, of course, as seen in this picture, played the character Mags in the episode The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show that this episode is named after. But interestingly enough, she reprised the same role of that character on the Big Finish range as a full-time companion of the Seventh Doctor. She
Oh.
also had several other roles here and there on both on Big Finish and on the TV show. On the 25th as well, we have Tracy Ann Oberman, who fittingly for this episode played the character of Yvonne Hartman in Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. You know, the episode of where Torchwood finally shows up and the Cybermen follow suit. And she's also reprised the role of Tracy Ann Oberman in the Torchwood Big Finish range, obviously as prequel stories to her appearance in Doctor Who. And speaking of people from the spin-off shows, we have also on the 25th, Keegan Joyce. He played a character called Starkey in the K9 show. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
not the K9 with the Satanists, the other show, the one we never watched.
The one that's irrelevant compared to the first one.
Yeah, compared to that one.
Mm-hmm.
On the 26th, we have Miss Annette Badlen.
Mm-hmm.
She of course played Margaret Blaine / Blonde Felfort Passimir Slidine in the Slidine episodes, and of course she reprised the role of Margaret Blaine in Big Finish as well on the Torchwood side, and she's also played a bunch of other characters on Big Finish on all the other places. On the a lot of people today. On the 26th, Phil Collinson, an executive producer of a lot of Doctor Who episodes from the modern series, particularly from the Stephen Moffat, sorry, not the Russell T Davies era, from Rose all the way to Journey's End. So uh, that's pretty nice right there. Also, on a side note, one of the people that Christopher Eccleston clashed with, and that's the reason why he left
So
Doctor
that
Who. But
so he's a monster. He's a monster, is what you're saying.
well, yeah, I mean, you and I don't know what happened there that day. Let's be real here.
Yep,
We don't know what actually happened, so
that's right.
reserve judgment. But on the 27th, Sarah Ann Jones. She played two major characters in Doctor Who, primarily Idris, the woman that became the TARDIS, you know, the female
Mm-hmm.
human embodiment of the TARDIS and the Doctor's wife. And she also played the Mona Lisa in Mona Lisa's Revenge in the Sarah Jane Adventures. On the 27th as well, we have uh, Mr. Reese Shearsmith. He played the character of Rasmussen in Sleep No More, the Peter Capaldi story, and he also played the Second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, not the Second Doctor, the actor who played the Second Doctor in An Adventure in Space and Time. Was
Mm-hmm.
only there for like a few minutes, but for those few minutes, he pretty much nailed what Patrick Troughton was off camera. So that was pretty nice. And finally, we'll wrap this up with the 28th, and Mr. Lenny Henry, who of course played a parody version of the Sixth Doctor on his own show, The Lenny Henry Show, as well as he played the villainous Daniel Barton in Spyfall. So, strange enough, a lot of people with really minor roles, but you know what? It's the thought that counts. It's the minor
Sure.
roles that really make. It's the supporting roles that really make this show what it is. So, on behalf of myself and uh, minor role playing people everywhere, thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. To the wonderful list of people we had just now.
It may have been minor on that show, but when it comes to British entertainment, there's quite a few well-known names there.
Oh yeah, I mean, Doctor Who does that a lot. Like
Hmm.
they take these really big, huge names for like a 2 minute scene, like in the case with Stephen Fry that we talked about.
Yeah.
And hey, you know what? That's the show.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Snark,
Yes, sir.
how about we talk about some Cybermen today, right?
Oh, very good. I thought you'd never ask.
Good. I thought I was never going to ask. Also, consider- considering how long the list of birthday people was.
Oh,
So here we have a tier list that I compiled, that I put together. We have 34, yeah, 34 different
oh boy.
Cybermen design. I tried
Okay.
to make it as much, if not more, so than the Dalek tier list. But I mean, I guess there's no topping the Daleks, no matter how hard you try.
No,
So, and I you'll have to forgive me. I kind of put the same design twice because I thought they were different,
how dare you?
but they're not. But we'll talk about those when we'll talk about them. And I figured for the tier lists, I just went with the simplest thing I could think of that is also very much in keeping with the Cybermen. We got perfection, near perfection,
Hmm.
sufficient, inadequate, and obsolete. Are you fine with that, or should we change it to
That's
something else?
no, that sounds good.
Cool. I was hoping you'd say that. Uh, okay, so obviously we're going to start off with the TV ones first, and then we'll jump into the realm of some of the more obscure cyber designs. And the first design we got to talk about, of course, is the one that started it all. The original, you might say, the original 10th planet Mondasian Cybermen with the cloth on their face and the weird
Yeah.
vacuum thing on their chest and the gigantic lamp thing on their heads
Hmm.
and the mouth that just open and sound comes out. It's like, we are the Cybermen. We have come to your planet from the planet Mondas. They, of course, were the main foil for the first Doctor's final hurrah, last hurrah, which wasn't really much
Hmm.
of a hurrah, but whatever. Yeah, so they are the final villains that the first Doctor faced. So that's some pretty significant there. Talking about the design, though, I love it.
Yep.
I love this design. Hold on, I thought for some reason I had a full body picture. There we
Let's hope
go.
so.
There we go. Let me just upload it really quick.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Look at this. I mean, obviously you can tell it's a product of its time, but for as a first sketch of what a Cyberman should be, this looks great. I
Hmm.
love it. I mean, yeah, it looks goofy and stupid and cheap and low budget. Guess what? That's the time. That's what makes the show so great.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I feel it's an S tier design
Yep.
right there.
Yep. You're exactly right. I
Yeah.
think as soon as we saw it and talked about it, like this is like whenever I come on the show, I love the old school looking aliens and monsters and robots. I love things that look like it was made in the 1960s, like the old rubber mat. Like I love those kind of aliens, and this is uh yeah, definitely if not my favorite, but one of my top favorite Cybermen designs. I love that he looks like he's holding an accordion. I like how everything is just so much bigger. I like the fact that they just wear balaclavas. Like coming from Canada, I can appreciate the face mask that they're wearing and stuff like that. The voice is fun. At least they tried to make it sound kind of 60s robotic. It wasn't like later iterations that we'll get from the Cybermen. Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, gosh darn, I wish they would have kept doing something similar than this. They've gotten a little too sci-fi in it, but it's fine. Yeah, this is definitely top tier for me.
Yeah, and I just noticed that I forgot to put the tier list on screen.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm stupid,
Oh my
but
god, it's attacking himself.
so I mean I think we're both in agreement here. S tier.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah, will it stay at the top of the S? Only time will tell, I suppose.
We will see.
Because moving on, we have the Cybermen's next appearance in the Moon Base.
Yeah.
They wasted no time bringing the Cybermen back. That's how you know you got gold. You struck gold with Doctor Who. That a villain becomes so popular, it comes back for a second uh, battle with the Doctor in the same season. Even though they switched Doctors mid-season, it's still the Cybermen, and they kind of gave them a bit of an overhaul, which looks like this. First of all, I just love this picture
Yeah.
of the lead
It, look,
Cyberman just going,
it looks like a disco album.
yeah, that's the vibe we're getting. But
Yeah.
what do you say about this cyber design?
Uh, I don't think it's as kitschy as the first one. I
Definitely not.
I like they're more pantsuits and they're the wiffle ball joints and stuff like that again.
I
I don't
actually
think
love the wiffle balls.
yeah, I'm not as much fan of the face covering now. The helmet I think
Yeah,
maybe looks a little better. Like let's
that's the one. I think the face is probably the biggest downgrade from
yeah,
the previous ones.
I don't get like the circles around the eyes and like the lining around the mouth and stuff like that. It seems
I don't get it
inefficient.
either.
Seems inefficient to do that. The black tubing and stuff like that. Not nearly as good as its original design, and the hands kind of look stupid as well, with the pointed fingers.
Yeah, why do they have three fingers?
No idea.
It never made sense to me,
Yep.
design wise. So it's not bottom of the list, is it?
I don't think so.
I mean, it still look pretty cool. They still look fun
Yeah.
in '60s.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it at the bottom of the list, but I would put it either in the. Maybe it's a mid tier.
Okay.
I would say it's sufficient.
Yeah, and another thing that also was a big downgrade was the voices.
Yeah, well, we're getting yeah. It's not the worst one. The worst one's coming
Oh, really?
for voices.
I wonder what that could be.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where I made my mistake.
Oh.
Is I forgot that this same exact design for the moon-based Cybermen was used for Tomb of the Cybermen. So I
The
kind of put
tubing
them
isn't as
both.
dark. The tubing's
What?
not as dark. The tubing isn't as dark.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Well,
think
I guess some of it is.
I think it's also it's a product of being in a different setting.
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, you
Yeah,
look at this
you're right.
picture, yeah, it's definitely a lot darker because of the lack of light. In
Yeah,
Two of the Cybermen, I think there was slightly higher production budget on Tomb of the Cybermen than the Moon Base.
the
So
saran wrap. Yeah, most of it did go towards saran wrap. You're right, but yeah, it still looks. Two of the Cybermen look better than the moon base.
and it's also a better story, in my opinion, but that's just
Mm-hmm.
me.
Sure.
Um, do you think the center chest thing looks different,
Let's
or
see.
does it look? Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah,
Uh,
I think they just use the same exact design.
yeah, you're right.
So should we put them both side by side?
You might as well. It's just if it's the exact same one, it's hard to say one's better than the other.
But I think because Tomb of the Cybermen is the better story, let's put them here.
Fully on board with that.
And speaking of Tomb of the Cybermen, it's also introduced the first cyber controller.
Mm-hmm. What a dickhead.
You belong to us. Actually, kind of think I think the voice might have changed from Tomb of the Cybermen to from the Moon Base.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, that's where they came up with the "You will remain
Yeah.
still."
It sounds like a guy with a voice box thing because he smoked too much. Got the
Yeah.
hole in his throat. Yeah.
Do you like the voice better in this one than the Moon Base?
Uh. Yeah. No. But this isn't what I was saying. Is the worst voice. The worst
Okay.
voice is coming up. It's in a couple Cybermen from now. But yeah. I think this guy looks pretty ridiculous, though, to tell you the truth.
With the giant head that's supposed to look like a
Yeah.
brain, but isn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that does kind of set the precedent for Cybermen with bulging brains.
bulging something, it looks like.
Yeah. But here's something interesting. This guy doesn't have the chest piece
Yeah.
thing. So,
What's
like,
the purpose of that other thing then? Is it supposed to be like a? You'd think it'd almost be some kind of respirator or something.
I guess,
I have no
which is,
idea.
which is where you throw gold dust into if you're
Yeah,
fighting them.
yeah, because that thing does look like an air filter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But in that case, then why doesn't the cyber controller have one?
That's what I'm saying. He has a zipper, but he doesn't have an
Yeah,
air
the
filter.
clearly visible zipper.
Hmm. Yeah, this one not the best design. Let's just say that. Changing the head around like that too, not the greatest. But at least they have different size Cybermen.
True. This one's really tall. And also, yeah, what do you prefer? The giant big dome thing or the tin head with the handlebars of the underlings that you can see at the back
I,
of the picture?
I prefer the underlings. I think it's the more iconic of the Cybermen look. Not a big fan of this one at all, really.
All right. So I kind of like it, but then again, I could be biased because I love the story.
Yeah,
So where
yeah, the
where would
story is
you put it?
great. I would think inadequate. At the very least, it would be at the end is sufficient. Like honestly, I don't think there's going to be many that hit obsolete for me, but uh, yeah,
Oh, well, there's a couple for me, but
we'll see.
whatever.
We'll see. Yeah, I think that's a fair
Uh,
spot for. I don't know if it'd be sufficient.
all right. So in the same season, they gave the Cybermen the significant change that they needed in the wheel in space, where they
Yeah.
added those holes in the eyes and the mouth. Do you remember
Hmm.
why they added those holes in there?
As so they could breathe better.
Yeah, because
There's-
people just kept suffocating and passing out wearing this. So they
Yeah.
just had to add some air circulation in the helmet, and that look minus the dot under the mouth
Hmm.
that has remained till this day a staple of the Cybermen's look. Now,
Yeah.
I think the bodysuit looks slightly more bland, and they changed the little the ball things to something more flat.
It's more mechanical. It looks more mechanical now.
Yeah, I kind of think of it. I think the legs are also different in this picture, but I'm not. Like I said, I love the little ball things,
Hmm.
so I don't like the change. But what say you?
Uh, I still really like. I like the look of this Cyberman. I think he look. I think they look quite good actually. I think they're a little more streamlined. Yeah, the ball thing for the mouth or whatever isn't the best, but I love the holes for the eyes. I like the helmet. I do like that it looks like a jumpsuit and stuff again. It looks like they're wearing pants and jacket and stuff like that, like they're part of a music group. I think the respirator looks fine. Uh, the hands look better. It's a I think it's a good Cyberman look.
Okay, but is it better than the Tomb of the Cybermen ones or the moon
No,
base one?
no.
Yeah,
I
I
would put
agree.
I think it's sufficient, but I don't think it's better than that. It would be behind them in the sufficient tier.
Okay, so just give me a second. StreamYard is really slow today for some reason. So sufficient below these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving on to a design that I think most people think of when they hear Cyberman. Well, most fans of the classic series think of when they hear the word Cyberman.
Hmm.
It's the Invasion Cyberman, also
Yeah.
known as the International Electromatics Cyberman. As you can see, they removed the dot beneath
Mouth.
the mouth. They still kept the holes under the eyes, but they gave the much bigger headphone like things. Hold on, let me just
Yeah.
give me a second.
Oh boy.
This.
You've been assimilated, sir.
Don't you mean upgraded?
Yep. Sorry, just read that comic book, so assimilated was in my head.
Yeah. So assimilated. That's a different kind of Cybermen.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, this image is pretty iconic. The invasion walking by St. Paul's Cathedral, coming out of the sewers,
Yep.
and also the guns. I think this might actually be the first example of Cybermen with guns. Uh, yeah, I don't think we had
I'm trying to
arm.
think of yeah, the Tomb of the Cybermen. I thought maybe they would have had some there, but I can't think of it. So you might be right.
Yeah, think so. But what do you think about these guys? The
Love
the
it.
cyber people,
Love it. Yeah, I love the headphones look, the Princess Leia look.
the
Uh,
Princess Leia look.
yeah, I like how they're full on. There's like, guys, this is a jacket. Like, we're not even gonna hide the zipper anymore. The zipper's gonna be right out front. I like that they've gotten rid of all the hoses and stuff. It looks like I like the things to the joints. I think that looks better. Not
Yeah,
quite not quite wiffle ball, but it's getting back there. They've changed the look of the air filters. Now it looks like they put them more just on the sides, and they have some weird little bit in front. I don't know. I don't know. They put a little tinier light on top of the head. Uh, I don't know. I think it's a great look for a Cyberman.
I think I think this qualifies as an A tier.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's. I still prefer the original.
Me
Uh,
too.
I don't know if I put this. Yeah, to
This
put it.
original,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
10th
yeah, yeah,
planet.
yeah. The 10th
Okay,
one.
so it's near perfection. It's not as perfect as the 10th planet Cyberman, but it's near perfect.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds fair.
Now, of course, the Cybermen were not seen for a whole other Doctor after this episode,
Hmm.
making their return for the fourth Doctor in Revenge of the Cybermen, which pretty much kept the entire design. They just replaced the thinner tubes and handlebars with these larger accordion shaped tubes that I don't know. They don't work for me. I much
Um,
prefer these versions from the invasion, but
yeah,
at least they finally gave us a proper cyber leader with the black helmet and stuff.
yeah. What did I say? It looked like he had like a Lego hair or something like that. Lego help. Uh, I'm
Lego
not a
line.
huge yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the vacuum style tubing and stuff like that either. At least to
Yeah.
the head. I'm not a big fan of it going to the head. Um, it's still a good design. It's just I wouldn't I wouldn't put it anywhere near any of the top ones we have so far.
I mean, it seems to be a recurring theme with the Cybermen that like they get one good design and then the next time they bring the Cybermen back, it's a significant downgrade. And then they give us another good design and then they just downgrade it again. And it happens in the modern series as well. They still keep a similar design to the good one we liked, but they just make it worse somehow.
Someone's always got to tinker, it seems. Every designer has to tinker a little bit with it.
Well, I
And
mean that's kind of the theme of Cybermen.
yeah,
Like they kept trying to upgrade themselves and make themselves better and better, making themselves worse in the process without realizing it. So
they should introduce a character called the Cyber Designer, and he's there just for aesthetics.
yeah, but yeah, I was going to say that. I mean that I guess the tinkering stuff is true both on screen and off screen. So
Ooh, all right.
it fits well within the Cybermen realm, shall we
Okay,
say?
sure.
But where do you want to put these guys? Because we said the invasion guys, the invasion Cybermen are near perfect.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are obviously less.
It's less, yeah, sufficient. I think would work.
I think they're less sufficient than the Wheel in Space Cybermen.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, now
Don't
I
mess with
think
a good thing.
what?
So just don't mess with a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
did.
must be a good thing. Now I think this is where you and I are going to disagree heavily
Mm-hmm.
because I love the Earth Shock Cybermen,
Yeah.
or the Imagineering Cybermen, as I call them, because that's the company that made them. But I think they just took the invasion design and just brought it to the max. Like again, if this wasn't made in the 80s and this was made in just modern day with modern day technology and costume design philosophies, I think these could look great. If you just forget the fact that they're plasticky and rubber suits and chrome and stuff, if you just look at this and think metal, if they were actually made of metal, these would look pretty intimidating Cybermen to me, in my opinion. I love the cyber leader again with the black handlebars. I love the chest piece in the middle. Again, ignoring the fact that they're basically just wearing tinfoil under all that plastic. This looks like this to me is an S tier design, and these are the ones from the Five Doctors, where it's very noticeable that they're
Mm-hmm.
not identical as Cybermen are supposed to be. But I don't know.
Right.
I love this design. I love the voice, the smug Cybermen, as I call them.
Ah, yeah.
So,
This was the
Doctor, we
place.
meet again. My army awaits. And they actually brought the voice actors back on Big Finish. They broke away from the tradition of having Nicholas Briggs play the Cybermen, and they
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, brought the original actors who were delighted to do this because they didn't have to have this whole heavy helmet screwed on their head for like 2 hours. So
I couldn't stand the voice. I'm pretty sure I made that clear when we were doing the review of the show. Uh, and I'm not a big fan of the beaker mouth. Uh, but I did. I like the suit. I like the suit. I like that they've gone back to more of a sturdy kind of tubing. It looks like, and not the vacuum tubing. It's not a bad design. I'm just not a huge fan of the mouth and the voice that came out of it.
yeah,
A totally different chess piece there now as well.
yeah, they got rid of the accordion, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I, I,
It's not terrible. It's just not my favorite, and especially the face.
would you say you like the guns at least?
Oh, I thought the guns were fine. I just said it's just not my favorite, especially the face. I just can't get over the face,
Yeah,
like the pouty beaker look.
I just happen to have the sound effect for the guns.
Ooh,
I like the sound effect.
yeah.
I think it's a good sound effect. Yeah. So I'm saying S tier, but obviously we can't put it on S tier if you don't agree. So Where would you put them?
Yeah, S tier is pretty high. Like I would have had it lower. Obviously, I would have had it on even on the lower end of sufficient. But
Hmm.
I think to be fair, you can put it in the uh, you could put it in near perfection. I just wouldn't have it near the top of near perfection.
All right. I mean, I personally would put these above the Invasion Cybermen, but
Whoa.
uh, I think we gotta get meet in the middle. I think you've been generous enough letting me put them in near perfection.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
keeping the same imagine keeping the same Imaginarian design for the next Cyberman story, Attack of the Cybermen, they also apply the same design philosophy to the Cyber Controller,
Right.
which really it's just the same Imaginarian design, just with a much
hmm
bulkier person. Either I don't know if there was a much
That's a nice.
bulkier
That's a
person
nice way to say
on,
it.
underneath, or they just added a lot of padding
Say
underneath.
filled the suit up with air.
Yeah, or just pillows or whatever. But
Those
they
aren't
removed the
pillows.
handlebars in favor of the larger dome, which is
hmm
again it's supposed to emulate an exposed brain, but it fails. Probably even
yeah.
worse than the Tomb of the Cybermen cyber controller. But at least Tomb of the Cybermen had cyber controller had the benefit of actually being in a very good story. But I
Mm.
mean that's just beside the point. What do you say for the Attack of the Cybermen cyber controller?
It's a hard dislike. Uh, Again, the suit seems the same as the other things, but this time they take the helmet, which again, keeping the pouty beaker face, and then adding this other big part and taking away the handlebars.
I think actually they kept the look of the beaker face, the beaker mouth,
hmm
but unlike the Earthshock Cyberman, you can't see the person's mouth underneath because
Right,
here it's a clear opening. Here it's just silver colored,
right.
so you can't see the person's mouth moving under there,
The head
which is a
looks,
downgrade for me.
yeah, the head kind of looks like a cartoon nose almost like if you're looking up at someone's nose like this. Uh,
Yeah, it does.
yeah, not great.
Yeah. Again, why mess with a good
Plus,
thing?
that guy's had a lot of robo dinners too. It looks like.
So where are you putting this cyber? I mean, I'm tempted to go obsolete.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking at best it would be inadequate. Do I like it less than uh, the original Cybermaster? I think obsolete's the way to go.
Yeah, I think we might actually have our first obsolete.
Not great,
And
guys.
looking at this
Not
list
great.
right here, I can kind of tell it's not going to be the last,
Oh boy.
but
Okay.
we'll get to them when we get to them. Now, still in the same story,
hmm
there's like a scene on the Cyberman base or ship or whatever where we see people half converted.
Yeah.
Feel like that's the first time and I think maybe the only time we've ever seen half converted people in a Cyberman story in the classic series. This looks pretty good, I think.
It
Oddly
looks
enough, the half converted ones look better than the Cyber Controller.
100% agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like it.
yeah, and I love, especially in this picture right here, you see kind of the different stages. You get like what a half converted person and the final result.
Yeah.
So
It helps.
where we
It helps bring the story home too. It doesn't just like they touch somebody and they turn into a siren. There's a
yeah,
process to it.
yeah,
You
it's a
get now.
process.
It's like they're letting you in on what the process could look like. So I really enjoy it actually.
And this also goes back into the main purpose of Cybermen stories. At their heart and core, they're horror stories, body horror stories, and what makes them even more terrifying is that this ain't just some random alien dude. It's us. Like it is what humans will become if they continue to rely on technology too much, which was the whole idea of Kit Pedler's original concept for the Cybermen. And,
Hmm.
and I like that. And I like that we get to see that in this episode, however brief it is.
Right.
So obviously, it's not a full Cyberman, so we can't put them too high. But where would you say they would rank for you?
I enjoy it. Like I would think it's almost near perfection. It's definitely sufficient, but how high up sufficient do I like it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely better than the Revenge of the
Yeah.
Cybermen. Will I put them above the Wheel in Space Cybermen? Because again, I don't like the joints on those.
I think that's a fair spot to put it.
Okay, so right in between the Wheel in Space Cybermen and the Moon Base
Yeah.
Cybermen. And now we're on to the final Cybermen design for the classic series,
Hmm.
the Cybermen from the Sylvester McCoy story, Silver Nemesis, which is basically all it is. It's an updated version of the Imaginarian Cyberman. They sort of kept the same silhouettes, but they mainly just made them look more chrome colored. Like
Yep.
even from the helmet to the tinfoil bodysuit that they're wearing. In this picture, you can also see that they kind of also changed the chest piece. It's not a fully identified symbol much, but I mean, it's just chrome colored Cyberman, almost blue colored Cyberman, which, silver bluish is kind of iconic colors for the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like to dance.
Oh, that's nice.
uh, I like this picture, but what do you say for these new Cybermen? I mean, they pretty much kept the majority of the design the same, but they just gave them a paint job and changed the chess logo thing.
They changed the mouth though too.
Did they?
Yeah, it has that mesh or whatever now. It doesn't quite look as
Oh, yeah.
pouty. The slip or the mouth or whatever, the mouth hole or whatever is quite subtle. Uh, I like the face a lot better. I like
Yeah.
how they put the tubing and stuff like back to the chest piece. I like it. I really do like this design. It looks cool when it's shiny, even with an arrow in it.
Yeah. And they also redesigned the guns, as you can see.
Yeah. And that one, it looks like the mouth is open quite a bit more. I can't remember if the mouth was opening and closing when it was talking.
I
Uh,
mean, it kind of looks like it's in pain, which is
yeah.
probably because it's got an arrow in its chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I like it. I like this design.
Cool. So, would you agree to put them right beside the Invasion Cybermen and the Earthshock Cybermen?
Yeah. Yeah. I
In the
really.
middle or below?
Let's put it in the middle.
Yeah, the big head Cybermen all take the near perfection side. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the Earthshock Cybermen better,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I can't deny that this right here makes an interesting trilogy.
Yep.
And like I said, that was the last for the classic series. Now jumping into the modern series with the Cybus Cybermen design from Industries with a big whole Cybus logo in the chest. I mean, as the doctor says, Lumix turned him into a brand. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? The Cybermen actually look scary for the
Yep.
first time. They look like they're made of metal. They look robotic. They look cybernetic. They look like Cybermen. They keep the basic design of the head, but I think the head looks a lot better. They look much more human shaped. I love the human hand, the fingers, the joints look so much better. The If you'll pardon the pun, the crotch area looks really good.
Oh,
For
brother.
certain
All right.
Cybermen.
All right.
I'm sorry, but there's no way other way I could say this. I mean,
Sure.
I think the muscular torso looks really good. I love the vacant expression on their faces.
I think that's the
Uh,
big deal for me is that it looks devoid of any emotion now.
yeah,
It looks like
exactly
they're
as Cybermen are supposed to be.
right.
The back of the head also looks fine. I love that they kept the design philosophy of the cyber leader with the black handlebars. So
Yeah,
I I think I think this is an S tier design right there.
I agree. I think that's no question.
Yeah, but and you know what? And again, this just goes back into like they they nail something out of the park first try with the Cybermen, and then they tinker and it just loses its value the more you tinker with it. The voices were great for
Mm-hmm.
these Cybermen. It kind of lost its effect next time they showed up, but the voices were great. The guns on their wrists were also really good and used to great effect. I love these. So, do we put them above the 10th planet Cybermen or below?
As a personal preference, I prefer the 10th planet Cyberman. But this is an iconic look, and anybody who has never seen any of the classic episodes, this is their Cyberman. You know what I mean? So, or
Yeah,
what should be their Cyberman?
I mean, for most people, this is what they think of when they hear the name Cybermen. It's
Yeah.
not the classic series. It's not even the Matt Smith era Cybermen. It's these guys. These are the iconic look for Cybermen,
Hmm.
and they also come fully equipped with their very own cyber controller in the form of John Lumick, which is basically the same Cyberman, except it's got this giant throne, pretty much stepping into the role of Davros for the Cyberman. But you can see it's got the exposed brain and the eyes that light up, these tubes on the chest that connect to the throne. It can walk, but it doesn't need to unless it has to. But I mean, it basically follows the same logic that all the other cyber controllers do. It's the same model, just tweaked a little bit, and the exposed brain. But at least they didn't go overboard and try to give it the huge brain.
Yeah,
Like
they didn't try and give him a great big dick head, and they didn't try and make him look like an overstuffed nose and stuff like that. I think and just showing the brain or whatever. If walking down the street, if you saw a Cyberman and then you saw a Cyberman that looked like this, which one of these Cybermen are you going to be more afraid of? I'd be afraid of the brain guy.
yeah, there's just something about the uncanniness of seeing an exposed brain
Yeah.
that just stirs something up inside.
Hmm.
Not
Yeah.
saying it's a better looking design, but just this it's the more intimidating one because you can see the exposed brain.
Would this be like I said? We put the other one in S tier, and I like this one as much. Is this an S tier design for this one as well?
I don't know because I mean it keeps the same design, but at the same time,
It
it
shows that
doesn't.
menacing brain. I
Yeah, it
like
doesn't.
it.
Yeah, but aside from the brain, it doesn't change much. Like it
Hmm.
looks like a regular Cyberman that just got. Uh, it looks like this Cyberman, but just it replaced the head plate with a transparent plate.
Yeah, but I
So I don't
like
know.
that. I like that change. I like that there's one that's different. But the different being here's this goddamn brain. So maybe it's not. Yeah, I don't know. And because cyber controllers, there aren't like tons of cyber controls like there are Cybermen. I would say let's leave the Cybermen design the S tier, and I would put this as near perfection because it's close to what that Cyberman thing is, just the difference being the brain.
But is it on the same level as some of the bigger head ones?
When it's near perfection, I don't think it really matters where it goes. I think you could put it anywhere there, and it's going to be fine. I just think it's much better than a sufficient Cyberman design.
Okay, cool. So I'm keeping it at the bottom for now.
Okay.
And this one might be a bit controversial between the two of us because in the episode The Next Doctor, we got the cyber leader that also has the exposed brain. They just went the extra mile of mostly blackening its head and the handlebars and adding, for some reason, they added some red veins on the brain, which
Hmm.
I don't really see the appeal too much. But yeah, it's basically the same exact design of the regular Cyberman that we've seen in the previous season. They just, gave it the exposed brain. And this design also carried over to some of the Matt Smith episodes where you can see they removed the Cybus logo from the chest and just keep it this circular dot thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's the law of diminishing returns with the Cybermen. They get one design that's perfect, and they just start tweaking with it, and it just loses the appeal the more you tweak it.
I don't know if you're ever a fan of Kiss, but in the beginning of the 80s, Peter Criss left and he was replaced by a guy named Eric Carr. And Eric Carr's makeup looked almost exactly like that. He called himself the Fox. Except
Really.
for this guy, looks like the Fox with almost like a blue Hitler mustache.
And that brings me to my next point. I mentioned this earlier, but the voices changed, and they're not as good as the ones from season two, series two, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this at all.
Yeah, me neither.
So I don't think there's much controversy. I think we're pretty much on the same page.
Yeah, because I mean, it's. I thought it would be controversy because you like the exposed brain, but
Yeah, but I like how they kept things simple. They kept things really simple. They just showed one with a. They had just one with a brain. This one they just they're being tryhards. They're being too tryhard. Not a good look.
so would you say it's sufficient?
No, I don't
Really
say inadequate.
inadequate?
Yeah,
Better than the cyber controller?
yeah.
Okay, so right now it's at the top of inadequate.
I think that's a fair spot for it.
And
Where would you have put it? Just curiosity.
I don't know. It's a very middle of the road for me, so
Yeah,
I don't pay much stock to it too much. It's like, hey, cool, it's the brain, but other than the brain, what else have you done to me?
I
And if
just
I
think
want an
that
exposed, if I want an exposed brain, there's one right here.
yeah, I think just that black face mask thing or whatever is just what's the point of it? I just don't see the point at all.
Yeah, I mean, just keep it simple, like the
Yeah,
just the black handlebars right here. I mean, it's barely noticeable, but you can tell that it's
yeah,
this Cyberman is at a higher rank than these Cybermen.
yeah. The Hamanagers.
Haminator.
Hmm.
Okay. And now, in the same story, we also have the Cyber Shades, which
Hmm.
are what happened after they converted a brain of either a dog or a cat.
Hmm.
And, well, they're just primitive beasts with cyber heads, like steampunk cyber heads.
Hmm.
That's another thing that they sort of missed opportunity that they had with that episode. They could have made good looking steampunk Cybermen designs with the whole place, the whole episode taking place in the mid 1800s and stuff. That they could have had something interesting to add to the Cyberman design, but they just decided to keep the regular Cybermen the way they are and just add these underlings uh,
Yeah, they made
as jump.
they changed the top tubing a little bit there, but I I think this is funny, so I like it. I probably like it more than you.
I mean, I
Uh,
don't. I never said I don't like it.
yeah,
Just
like I
it's
think this
weird.
is what but I like weird. I would have it pretty high up.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know if
fine.
it
I'm fine
deserves
with
to be.
that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's pretty tough for me to crack into the near perfection. But
Hmm.
would you say that these are the near perfection or at the top of sufficient?
I would put it at the top of sufficient. I don't think it's quite near perfection, but it's just so odd that I appreciate it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, oddly appreciated.
Yeah.
Also in the same episode, the Cyber King, which is
Mm.
the giant robot with the cyber conversion factory in the chest, and the arms. I'm sorry, but the arms are basically the Iron Giant from the movie. It's
Right.
using the same weaponry as the Iron Giant. Which, you know what? The Iron Giant is awesome, but I don't know.
I'm
I feel
not a
like they went
fan.
a little over the top. I like that they still tried to make this thing look like a giant Cyberman, but that's just it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I wouldn't be as menaced by Cybermen if they. Why wouldn't they just make more of these? Seems easier.
I mean, they basically spent the entire episode just uh, building this thing,
Hmm.
so I can see why they don't have a lot of these.
I don't know. Seems inefficient. It seems inefficient for the Cybermen to have this thing around. If they can make just Cybermen just from whatever, they don't need a walking, talking one. I don't know.
So,
I would say inadequate.
bottom of inadequate, or would you go all the way back, all the way over
No, I would go over Hitler guy.
blue mustache Hitler guy?
Yeah.
All right. And now we're on to the Matt Smith era Cybermen. After they, of course, they reused some of the Cybermen for the 12th Cyber Legion. And in closing time, we got these in Nightmare in Silver, which continued all the way to the Peter Capaldi era and with
Right.
Cybermen. You know what? Not a fan of the face, but the rest of the body looks really good. It's really sleek. It's streamlined. I love the chest piece. They basically look like Iron Man, and
Yeah.
I love that they basically also made the Cybermen fast. They gave him some uh, flash abilities where they just run. They just slow down time and just run at you and take you apart. But other than that, like I said, not a fan of the face at all. But the body's great. That can be misconstrued, taken in a different way. But yeah, I love the way that they made the bodies of these Cybermen look.
Yeah, it looks like Iron Man.
Yeah, they basically just made Iron Man into a Cyberman,
Yeah.
and I've got no problem with that.
Nope, none. But where to put it?
Yeah, where indeed.
You don't like the face, which is a huge part, obviously. So it is
Yeah,
definitely not perfection.
clearly, and they also did the bad voice again.
That's points off. So maybe I think sufficient is right then. If we're starting to list off, there's a few things were questionable about. Maybe put it in sufficient.
And another thing I just wanted to point out. I searched this. I looked this up. They also look good in Lego form. Just again the face. I can't get over the face.
I like the claws. I think the Cybermen should have more claws like that.
Yeah,
Clamps.
I mean,
The
it's just like
clamps.
it's Lego, so that's why they gave him the claws.
Yeah, I just like it. I think that would be a good look for just regular Cybermen.
So I think these should be near perfection, and
Okay.
I think because of the effects budget that they had, they should be at the top.
Oh, you're
because
going right high. Okay.
no, where would you put it?
I just think if you're like, I really like it. I like the body. I didn't mind the face at all. I liked it. I thought I would liked it more than you, but I didn't think you'd have it at near perfection. I thought you'd just put you. If anything, I thought you'd have it at the lower end, not the higher end.
I mean, again, I love the body, and I
Yeah.
love some of the powers and abilities that they gave them. Just
Yeah.
the face and the voice is what brings it down for me.
Hmm. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's put it there then.
Okay, so at the top of the near perfection.
Okay.
Oh, now, where are we? What? Oh yeah. So they kept the same design for the wooden Cyberman from the time of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, look, it's the exact same design. The wrist gun looks slightly bigger. It's just made of wood. They changed the color on the arc reactor thing on the chest.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they thought it was a good idea to have a wooden Cyberman with a flamethrower. Like, no, at what point did that seem like a good idea?
Yeah. Unbelievable. I think it looks really cool though.
Yeah, it does. It does look really cool, but again, it's an issue we're seeing with the Cybermen keep repeating itself is that it's the same design,
Yeah.
just a slight tweak because uh it's made of wood now.
Really does look like it's made of wood though. I think they did a real goddamn good job.
You know what? It might actually is made of wood for
Hmm.
all we know. But
Ooh, that'd be heavy. Uh, so obviously you're not as much a fan of this as you are the regular metal
yeah,
design.
I like it because I like the basic design, which
Right.
is the original, the metallic one. But
If
it,
would you put this
it,
on
you
the
know what?
same tier or would you put it just below? It's definitely at least sufficient. So
Yeah,
I think it's so unique looking, even though it's based on something that's already been that we've already marked pretty high.
yeah. I mean, I feel like what brings it down for me is that it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Like you get what it is. It only shows up for like a minute in the episode anyway. It's basically the same exact design as this. It's just made of wood. That's the gimmick. So I think it's got to be middle of the road. Like
Okay.
it's sufficient. It's definitely sufficient.
Yeah.
Would you put it above the cyber shades or below the cyber shades?
I put it well, yeah. I'd put it below. They're both
Below
so
cyber shade.
they're both so unique looking, but yeah, I put it there.
Yeah, and they're both gimmicks. They were made specifically for the gimmicks.
Hmm.
And now we're on to Peter Capaldi's penultimate story, which is a two-parter, World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls. And we see the return of the Mondasian Cybermen design. Just,
Look,
updated for modern times.
yeah.
And once again, we said this earlier, they show us the process. Like
Yes.
how these people became Cybermen. Didn't happen overnight. It was a process that the end result was this. And you know what? It looks great. They tried their damnedest to make it look like the original, but you just can't escape the fact that it just looks like it was made in 2017, not 1966.
So
And
much
it
cleaner,
looks
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I love it. It looks metallic. It doesn't look very plasticky. Maybe that's just the coat of paint, but I love the faces
The
and just
jumpsuits are back.
yeah, the jumpsuits are and they look good. The,
Yeah.
the functionality of the accordion chest piece, they
Hmm.
actually put weapons on the headphone thing at the top. And this episode also hits you with a further gut punch when you realize that the
Bill.
companion was a Cyberman in this
Hmm.
episode. Like, you actually see this happening. They took a beloved companion and turned her into a Cyberman.
Hmm.
Like, they've been threatening to do this for a while. I mean, they kind of did it with Danny Pink, or they almost did it with a James Corden character. But Bill was a full-on Cyberman, and we get this emotional journey for her living as a Cyberman, but seeing herself as proper human. So this episode really hits hard when it needs to, and
Hmm.
the design really contributed a lot
Yep.
to this.
Yeah. They brought back the lamp looking thing. They just made it a little smaller.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot
The
more than
chest
the
piece
tank planet.
lights up now.
I'm pretty sure it also lights up in the original design.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. I know. I love it.
I love it too. I think, again, they're trying. It's not an original design. They're trying to emulate a beloved 60s design, even going so far as to trying to emulate the same voices. I don't
Yeah.
think it works quite as well as the 10th Planet Cybermen design voices, but the fact that it's not an original thing, that they're just trying to recreate the the beauty that was this thing,
Hmm.
I think we got to give them credit for that.
Oh, 100%. For me,
I,
I know it's going to go high. I'm just always thinking, how high would I have this?
yeah, it's the opposite of limbo. It's how high can you go, not how low can you go.
Oh, brother.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll shut
Hmm.
up now.
Gee whiz. Uh, for me, I would have it at the very top of near perfection.
So above the Nightmare and Silver Cybermen.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What were you thinking?
The same. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure you'd be willing to concede that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, now we
Yeah.
move on. Now we
It's
move on from what?
sorry, I was just gonna say it looks fantastic, and it was great to see that design come back. But there's just something about that original. There's just something about that way they just first did it that it really I appreciate so much more than all the other ones. But looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare this to this, this one looks very scrappily made.
Hmm.
Like, this thing looks like everything in this design was put there on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, this was a lot well made. This thing just looks like you'd find this thing in a junkyard.
Yeah, they had to put
With,
this thing
with,
together
with,
through scraps that they had lying
yeah,
around.
with, yeah, which is how you find the TARDIS originally in the junkyard.
Yeah.
But and there's even a famous Cyberman story from the comics that literally is just that. They found a Cyberman in a junkyard. So yeah, are we moving on now?
We're moving on.
We're moving on, and we're moving on from standard, factory mass produced Cyberman design to an individual Cyberman, the lone Cyberman, also known as Ashad, which
Mhm.
it's not just the standard nameless, faceless Cyberman character. He's a full-on character
Yes.
with a character arc, and he goes through several changes. And probably the best thing about it is they nailed the design. I mean, he's a mishmash of different cyber parts. Like, he's got the torso of the Matt Smith Nightmare and Silver Cyberman. He's got a Mondasian Cyberman arm, the head of the Cybus Cyberman, the handlebars of the Imagineering Cyberman. The voice is unlike anything we've ever heard in the Cyberman before or since, and just he's got a massive conflict, uh, and goes toe to toe with the Doctor on several occasions in several episodes, back to back to back. So, I mean, I think Ashad could be a S tier Cyberman, just for the fact that he's on his own and just the destroyed, disheveled, broken down, rusty design, the half face Phantom of the Opera thing he's got going on there, and just the cunningness of the character. I think he deserves an S tier status, but that's just me. What say you?
I'm gonna agree, and it goes back again to just being so unique. And I love how they make him just filthy. I think the face thing almost looks Borgish.
Yeah, I mean, it's the closest, aside from another example we're going to get to eventually, this is the closest that the Cybermen ever came to replicating the Borg.
Yeah,
Which is weird because the Borg were trying to be an offshoot of the Cybermen, but that's beside the point.
sure. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I would have it. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would have it at the so far at the bottom of the S tier, but I think it definitely deserves to be there.
Yeah. And just the fact that they kept bringing the character back for multiple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right there. Now, in the same episode, we also get introduced to the Cyber Warriors from the Cyber Wars, which look like this. And they basically took the majority of the Nightmare and Silver design for the body. They just completely reworked the head, make it look a lot more like, a lot similar to the Invasion Cybermen or the Imagineering Cybermen, and just put it in this fully decked out slim body with spikes on the shoulders, and they made these guys look fierce. They don't do much in the episode in question, but that is for reasons we will get to in just a minute. But I think these Cybermen look scary. I think for the Jodie Whittaker era, say what you will about the Jodie Whittaker era and these episodes specifically, but I think they really nailed it out of the park with this updated Cyberman design.
I really like the body, but I don't know how menacing I find the face actually. Oh, he just looks kind of sad. He looks like he looks like a sad boy.
It's a Cyberman. They're not supposed to look happy.
No, but yeah, but I wouldn't say he looks menacing, except for the body. The body looks awesome. There's just something about, I don't know what it is about the face with this version that I'm just not getting that menace from it. Hard to say, but that body, yeah, like, what function would those spikes serve, anyways?
I don't know.
I like it. Like, even there is like, I don't know. It looks like they put almost a friendly head on an evil body.
I wouldn't call them friendly. I mean, how do you get friendly from this?
I don't know.
It's an emotionless. It's an emotionless, expressionless, vague-looking thing.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I honestly can't tell you why I can't get over the face. I don't know what it is. It's not like it's a super dissimilar face. Maybe it's there's some shadowing and stuff like that into the other faces or whatever to maybe make it a little more menacing, and they've pulled away from that. I have no idea. I have no idea what it is, but yeah, it's just not like, I don't know. I just don't get the menace from it.
I think the face is this design through by way of this design brought into the modern era with this design. They tried to replicate the Invasion / the Imagineering design in the modern era, and I think they succeeded.
Yeah.
That's just me. These Cybermen really work for me.
Where were you planning on putting, if you had to do this by yourself, where would you put this design?
I put him at near perfection.
Okay.
Because again, the body isn't too dissimilar, especially the chest area is very similar to the Nightmare and Silver Cybermen, so they didn't do too much work with that. They didn't renovate too much, I should say. They brought not much new, but I just love the addition of the spikes. I love the head, and the I think the legs also look really good. But they couldn't find a picture of the legs,
Hmm.
so I think there's more spikes on the leg. There might be even more spikes on the kneecaps, but I couldn't find pictures for it.
Jeez. Okay. Uh, then let's put this out in the near perfection slot, but I would put it towards the back of near perfection.
Near the back of near perfection.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it over the cyber controller with the brain.
Really? Wow. I mean, I would put it right next to its brothers in with the Imagineering Cybermen.
Oh,
So should we put it here, meet in the middle?
I think that sounds democratic.
Yeah, democracy is a thing, people.
Yes.
Now, the surprises did not stop there with that episode, and well, that's an understatement. But one of the major surprises we got from that episode were the Cyber Masters,
You're right.
Cybermen and Time Lords put together. These are Cybermen with the ability to regenerate. Imagine how terrifying that is. They swapped out the iconic, familiar handlebars and replaced it with the Time Lord
The
funny hat.
Gallifreyan. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
Gallifreyan kind of
Gallifreyan
headgear.
hat,
Yeah.
headgear, and they also redid the face. The metalwork is now covered with Gallifreyan writing, and best of all, they're wearing robes now because you can't have
Perfect.
Time Lords without robes. And of course, they kept the spikes. The main difference there is the head and the ability to regenerate. But I think these Cybermen look terrifying,
I love
both
it.
conceptually and design wise.
100% agree. I think they look incredible.
Yeah. It's a shame they weren't used as well in that episode, but they got a second wind on Power of the Doctor, in my opinion. But so I think we should definitely put them above the Cyber Warriors. I mean, you can't. I mean, you said the face looks friendly. You cannot say the same about this face now.
I love the face. I love it. I love
Yeah.
everything about it. I'd go
You know what?
pretty high. I'd go well. I'd go way higher than that. I'd go like at least near the top of near perfection, almost S tier. I just really love that look.
Yeah, and you know what? Because they if you notice really closely, they changed the location of the little dots underneath the eyeballs from on the side to directly underneath the eye hole,
Okay.
which kind of makes them look like upside down fob watches because
Yeah.
Time Lords.
Sure. Uh, yeah. I think. Yeah. I think it looks terrific. I'd go. I'd go pretty high.
Yeah, I think I can't, in good conscience, put them at perfection because, again, the majority of the body is still the Cyber Warriors, which is a redo of the Nightmare in Silver Cybermen. But these are very high on the near perfection. I think they might be at the top of near perfection.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
above the attempted Mondasian Cybermen redesign.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you
I
know
think
what,
that's the right spot
Mr.
for it.
Clark?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for the TV show. Now, you'll
Whoa.
notice,
All right.
yeah, you'll notice that I added a Cyberman while we were talking about the Cyber Warriors, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of threw the order of the pictures out of whack. But thankfully, I still have an order of my own on the StreamYard banners corner.
Very good.
Now we're just moving into the realm of some miscellaneous Cybermen, starting, of course, with Croton, the cyber leader. So yeah, he's a character introduced in the comics, late 70s, early 80s, and the first really time we actually get to feel for a Cyberman. They took a random Cyberman and made us feel for him. They made him a full-on character. They gave him his own character arc in the comics. and he came back about a decade or so later as a companion of the Eighth Doctor. So yeah, there's a Cyberman companion, a full-on Cyberman companion, and I like that they're still keeping the same basic design, the invasion design, even though this was post Revenge of the Cybermen with the weird tube things.
Right.
And he's got the number one on the chest thing. I still don't know why, but that's an added detail. And of course, the black
Yeah.
things on the eyes
The kiss
thing.
paint. He's
Yeah,
got kiss paint on.
he's got what?
The kiss paint on. Eric Carr kiss paint.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't be surprised if that's where they got the idea for this
That's what I was thinking.
coloring. But it's a really cool character, and again, they even kept the zipper. You can
I
see
like
it in the
that.
picture. They
Yep.
even kept the zipper, but again, not doing much design wise. They did a whole lot of stuff character wise, but there's a few tweaks here and there for the design. What do you think about it?
I definitely like it than the live action uh, Hitler controller. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it looks. I don't think it looks bad at all. Um, I don't know why they'd have this one as a number and no one else. So yeah, as a way to put it, you know, at best I would put it at the bottom of adequate
You mean sufficient?
or sufficient, I should say, or yeah, at worst at the top of inadequate. But
I mean, putting it at the bottom kind of puts it below these guys, which we already agreed do not look good, and this guy
yeah,
looks better than them.
yeah,
Um, and I think yeah. So now I'm just struggling between below or above Wheel and Space Cyberman.
I'd have it above Lego hair. Yeah,
Lego
I think
hair being
like the one on the end there, the controller from Wheel in Space,
so right here.
right there.
Okay, so that was that, and we're staying in the comic book realm. We've got these Cybermen from Marinus. I knew that was gonna make you laugh, but yeah. So these Cybermen are basically from Marinus. This There's this whole thing about people thinking that Marinus is the origin planet of the Cybermen.
Hmm.
We're not going to get into that right now, but basically, it's from a comic book story from the mid 80s with the Sixth Doctor, where time just starts randomly accelerating, and the Vords from Marinus just slowly start evolving into Cybermen for some reason, giving us the hint that maybe Marinus is the home planet of the Cybermen originally, not Mondas. But as Peter Capaldi mentioned in his penultimate episode, Cybermen just they start wherever there's people. So if there's people, there's cyber. There's eventually going to be Cybermen. So
Yeah.
that's that. But what do you think about the design? Again, the Vords very aquatic in design themselves. So them turning into Cybermen that look like this makes a lot of sense. But there's
Not a
not much
fan.
going
Not
on.
a fan at all. You know what? The first thing that came into my head, uh, I thought of that Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns is glowing. Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I can see that now
good morning sunshine or whatever he starts
with
singing.
the giant eyes.
Yeah, the Earth says hello. I would put this in obsolete, obviously.
So would you put them even below the stupid cyber controller?
No.
Really? The cyber controller is that bad for you?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan at all.
So here.
Yeah, that's a good spot. If it's obsolete, it's obsolete. Like it's apples and apples and apples when it gets down to that part or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
obsolete's obsolete.
Okay. Still.
If I have to laugh as soon as I see something, it's probably not going to be good for it.
Yeah, really bad start
Yeah.
for these guys. Okay, so now still on the comic book side, but we're moving on to the Eighth Doctor.
Okay.
We got these
Ooh,
Cybermen right here,
all right.
which very similar to the 80s designs. Just they look very comic book sci-fi ish.
Yeah.
Like they don't look like a guy in a rubber suit. They look like metallic creatures. The whole chest structure is completely different. They redid the face. The faces are angry for some reason. You can see the
Yeah, they're
cyber
upset.
controller on the what?
They're upset for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely upset. You can see the cyber controller on the left. Again, keeping the black coloration and the bulging gigantic brain.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a close up on their faces with the more angry eyes. They give them red eyes, which I think is a plus.
Yep.
And this is more of a sketch look at the rest of their bodies.
Kind of go all over the place. The cyber leader in this one doesn't have the exposed brain, just the black.
Yeah, because that's the leader. That's not a
Yeah.
cyber
Oh,
controller.
sorry, controller.
That,
Yeah.
this is a cyber controller
Right.
with the exposed. That's how you differentiate between them.
Uh, I like it. I like it better than the last one, definitely.
The what?
I said I like it better than that last one, definitely.
Okay.
The fish guy.
The fish.
Um, hmm That the mouth looked weird on that one picture, but then with the other ones it looks fine, almost beaker esque, but it's not protruding. I like it. Uh, I don't know how high I would have it. I would. It'd be in the inadequate range to maybe at the very best the bottom of sufficient. I wouldn't
Okay.
go much higher than that. What do you think about it?
They're fine, I guess. I think
Yeah.
top of inadequate
Hmm.
works well.
Yeah. They're
Oops,
fine.
that's the wrong one. Sorry. Where are they?
Monster.
Yeah, there we go. And again, still on the Eighth Doctor comics run, but well, we get these Cybermen
Uh huh.
from a storyline called The Flood, I think. But
Oh boy.
these do not look like Cybermen at all to me. They look like some weird 90s cartoon sci-fi thing
Yeah.
that just have the audacity to call themselves Cybermen.
It isn't good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a good comic. I haven't read it, but they don't look like Cybermen to me. They still look like they could fit in the Doctor Who universe. They're not. They don't look Cybermen to me. I do not like the triangular face. I mean, their whole body is very triangular. I like the tall, elongated features. I think they're obsolete to me, and that they're at the bottom of obsolete.
I'm
Again,
fully going to
maybe,
agree with you. Fully
yeah,
agree.
maybe it's a good comic story, and I like it if I'll read it. But when I'll read it, sorry, but they just don't do it for me. I'm sorry.
Nope. Get to the trash. Trash heap them.
Yeah, bottom of the bin. I'm almost tempted to add another tier just
Wow.
to put these guys there alone at the bottom.
Oh boy. All right.
And moving on to a slightly better design from uh, Spare Parts. Now, this was a Big Finish audio thing from uh, might be 2004. Oh, I do not ask me that. I do not remember when this came out, but it was so popular. It's one of the most beloved Big Finish stories still to this day. So beloved in fact that they did a big re-release with bonus features and this new
Ooh.
artwork for the Cyberman. So basically, Spare Parts is basically an origin story for the Cyberman. Like the Doctor accidentally goes back to the early days of the Cyberman, the last few days of Mondasian people being people as they slowly, the whole society turns into Cybermen and has a hand in their creation. And as you can see here, an early beta design for a Cyberman and a Cyber Horse as well. Personally, maybe because of all the great things I heard about this story, I had my expectations way too high. So when I listened to it, I liked it. It didn't blow me away, but it happens. Okay, it happens. I can see why people like it. It's just not the best in my opinion. But the design, we're counting both here, the cyber person and the cyber horse as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, even in the episode, you can tell that it was a slow transition. They didn't go full Cyberman right away. They started with replacing a few organs, then replacing a few limbs, adding a few stuff, and then they slowly went full Cyberman and full cyber conversion. The only organic part remaining was the brain. And you can see that in the episode or hear that in the episode, and you can see that exemplified on this law enforcement officer. I mean, you can see he's still wearing regular clothes. He's got a sergeant rank on his arm because he's
Mm-hmm.
wearing a regular jacket. It's not fully converted yet. You can see he's still wearing clothes. He's still got most of his face, but and the same goes for the horse. But what do you say to this picture right here?
I think the horse looked pretty rad. I would have loved to have seen those kind of the earmuff kind of things on the horse though with the light. I think that would have been cool. Again, a Borgish kind of eyeball on that thing. The man, it's fun to see like the respirator thing. Um, the eyes look gross, which is cool. Uh, I think it's fun to seeing a robot guy ride a robot horse is always kind of fun too. I really like this design actually. It would have been neat to see it fleshed out maybe, but I don't know if that will ever happen. And I don't know. I like it. I think it looks good. I think it looks good. I don't know if the story's any good, but I think it looks good.
I think you might like it. You should give it a try. I
Hmm.
mean, maybe it'll work better for you than it did for me. But
Hmm.
again, I can see why people like it. I'm not gonna say why because it's a huge spoiler.
Oh boy.
But it did not work as well for me. It didn't blow me away. Still liked it. Just meh
Yeah.
on the whole. I mean, it's like it's like you grow up hearing about The Godfather being the best movie ever made, and you have
Right.
such high expectations. Then when you finally watch it, it's good. You understand why people hold it in such high regard, but it it doesn't hit you the same as it did other people. So
No, I totally get it. But as far as design goes, and it's an incomplete design, I'd say it's definitely adequate.
but the incomplete is what makes it good because it's part of
Yes.
the story.
Yeah. Would have loved to have seen a robo horse, a cyber horse. Uh, yeah, I would say it's adequate. I'd say about middle of the road adequate, actually.
Where is it?
Or sorry,
Middle of
I
the.
think can't, I keep saying adequate. I meant sufficient. It's
It's
higher.
fine because you
Yeah,
got inadequate as one of
yeah,
the tiers.
yeah.
So middle of
I'd put it behind. I'd put it behind the conversion ones. I put it after that one.
behind the conversions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like but there.
Okay, cool. And speaking of half converted people,
Oh boy.
we spent all this time talking about cyber men. How about we
Okay.
talk a little bit about a cyber woman? Specifically, Lisa from Torchwood, the girlfriend of Yanto Jones, who was in the process of becoming a Cyberman during the Battle of Canary Wharf, and they just got stopped in the middle.
Good.
So she was half converted. Yanto spent an obscene amount of time and resources trying to trying to get her back, trying to you know give her a proper human life. Ultimately, it failed, and the Cybermen basic programming uh, took over. But that's a pretty sick design for a
Yeah.
half converted cyber human, right there. And well, I think uh, the elephant is already in the room, so might as well address it. Cyber boobs. Okay, we addressed it. Can we move on and talk about this design like adult people now? I like the exposed face. I like the exposed arms with the handlebar on the thing, and just yeah, I think the menace. What really elevates the story a lot is the fact that she's a half converted cyber person, not a full on person that it still retains the human brain. And I think it's a really good episode. There's some questionable things in this episode, but overall, on the whole, really good episode in my opinion. Very good. Uh, and it does what some of the Dalek episodes do as well, is that it shows you how big of a threat one Cyberman can be alone,
Right.
and not a full Cyberman to boot. So, I mean, Captain. I mean, have you ever seen Torchwood?
Not much of it.
Are you planning to?
Oh, I will at some point, I'm sure.
Can I spoil
We
something?
go ahead. I'm famous for forgetting all those kind of things.
Okay, so trying to stop her, Captain Jack throws a pterodactyl on her to try and stop her, and it still doesn't work. That's
Mhm.
how terrifying and menacing one half converted Cyberman is. So again, design wise, the way it works in the episode, the emotional gut punch of what happens to the fact that it's one of the main character's girlfriends, like it hits you right in the feels so many times over, and I think it's great. Again, just questionable things that happen in the episode aside, I think it's a really good Cyberman design. But
Yeah.
what say you?
And certainly unique as well. I like. I don't get the see-through kind of bits around in the arm and stuff like that,
Well,
where it
just
looks like plastic.
I think it's like they're see through because there's supposed to be a metal plate placed on that. They just didn't
Yeah.
get around to it because they pulled her out in the middle of conversion.
Yeah, I like the you see the wires coming from the arms and stuff like that. It's a yeah, it looks cool. It's kind of off-putting seeing a human face, like the full face or whatever, and not all roboted up and stuff like that. Not even like attachments, it's just the face. Uh, yeah, I like it. I still know where I'd put it. Where would you rank this?
Okay, let me just look at the. I think again because we don't get to see a half converted cyber person all that often. I'd put it on the lower half of near perfection.
Okay, it's one step further from the conversion line that we put in sufficient, so I get that. Okay. I think that's fair. It's definitely unique. There's certainly no other design like it in the show.
So below
No,
cyber controller,
you were thinking a little further up. We can put it a little further up. I put it above Beaker.
further up. I would not go that high. I think right here is fine.
Oh, so right beside Beaker. That's pretty close.
Yeah. I was tempted to put it below the Cyber Warrior, but again, the majority of the body and especially the torso isn't very unique to this model. This model is unique all over, so that's what tipped in that direction.
Very good.
Okay, so now we're back to the Big Finish realm in the Eighth Doctor episode, The Silver Turk, where again they
Ooh.
tried to recreate the Mondasian design. This is actually a lot closer to the Mondasian design than the Stephen Moffat Peter Capaldi attempt. but I think it's different enough that we can count it as its own thing. Obviously, they didn't use uh, the proper images of the original Mondasian Cyberman design on the cover. They made their own thing, and I applaud them for it. Again,
Yeah,
the
a
fact
little
that it's
more
not,
more of a streamlined front piece or whatever. I like the tubes. I think the face almost looks like Boris Karloff's mummy. You know what I mean? It almost has that
yeah,
mummy.
I was gonna say that it looks like a mummy. Are
Yeah.
you my mummy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, different show, different episode, I should say. Uh,
It's a long.
I really like this.
I really like this, but not too much.
Oh
Um,
yeah. We're not putting it super high or anything, but
yeah,
it's a good. I like it. I don't know what it is about it, but I really like them.
I think the voice is somewhat a mix between the Mondasian voice and the modern Cyberman design from the modern series. And there's a really awesome moment right towards the end where basically it's kind of an automaton in the 1800s or whatever, controlled by some guy who claims he invented him, but I mean,
Hmm.
we all know he didn't because it's Cyberman. So right at the end, when he finally breaks through of the guy's control, he just turns to him and goes in a full Cyberman voice, "Go to hell." Yeah, that's a massive bonus for me. But again, it's not too near the top.
No, no.
Where would we put this thing?
Uh, well, sufficient.
Oh, sufficient. Okay.
I don't think it's inadequate. I like them. Uh, but maybe it would be. I would probably even think at the bottom of sufficient.
The bottom of sufficient?
Yeah, I wouldn't put them as near perfection.
Okay.
And it's still just it's a drawing and stuff. Like it's just we've seen this thing twice, but
Yeah.
this one a little different.
Between Croton and half cyborg guy?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly where I was thinking. Like above Kiss makeup guy.
Okay, so now we're jumping back into comic realm with the Cyberborg from the
Hmm.
The Star Trek Doctor Who crossover. I mean, it's the cyber controller, cyber leader, whatever you want to call it. It's just he's half Borg now. And we're kind of counting the rest of the Cyberborgs in this as well. Where they
Yeah.
have the Borg green light at the chest piece. But yeah, I think they you get what you paid for with a Doctor Who Star Trek crossover that involves the Cybermen and the Borg together. I mean, and then
Right.
just look at it. One half of the head is the traditional Cyberman handlebar. The other one is just a Borg tube with the iconic red light targeting system. It's got the exposed brain. It's got the black on the face, the Borg stuff on the chest. Other Borg parts are all over the body. And you know what? This is about as perfect of a merger as you can get with the Cybermen and the Borg put together. So
Yep. And
again, it's
it's a great story too. I like
yeah,
this story.
it's a great story. We both liked it. It's still again not very original. It's still using the same Cybus design, but there's some uniqueness to it. Again, it's a massive gimmick, but it
Yes.
works.
Where to put it? I, yeah. Okay, I'm glad it's there. We did an entire episode on the show about just that story. I don't. Yeah.
I mean, I think you should appreciate that they didn't try to make it look too much like the Borg Queen.
No.
It's very much, very firmly a Cyberman, Cyber controller, Cyber leader, Cyber whatever, Cyber
Yeah.
Borg. So
Just upgraded with some Borg parts.
yeah,
Jeez.
I
Would you
think
say?
like a lot of these, this is going to be end up middle of the road sufficient. But
Yeah,
where?
that's the problem. Is just where would I put it? Higher? Would I put it? How high would I put it? Above conversion?
Above these guys?
Yeah,
Actually, that's yeah, I agree with that. That's a really good spot for it.
yeah. Yeah. If everyone should go read that comic or just go
Yeah,
watch us talk about it. Even if there's a French guy on the show for a while too.
yeah, for a bit, but thankfully we got rid of him pretty quickly. And speaking of that comic, we also get a few other Cybermen designs in that
Mhm.
comic,
Yep.
like Cyber Klingons with the Klingon logo, and you're gonna
The
have to help me out. What's the name of that weapon that the Klingons use?
a batleth.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the neck area almost looks Cardassian in design,
Oh, you're right.
but the face you can tell it's a Klingon. It even has the Klingon crest on the forehead thing,
Yeah, the little ripple kind of things. It looks like
and it
almost the
definitely looks a
face
lot
almost
angry.
looks like the if you remember Jason goes to space, Jason X. It kind of has that kind of look to it too. Menacing look. I really like the look of that thing. I would put it. I would just, but I would put this on par with the cyber leader from the same episode. It'd be running around the same spot.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah,
Above or below?
I would put it above.
Yeah, I like that they gave different designs to some other alien races in that story.
Not enough
I mean,
robots have swords.
what?
If you ask me. Said not enough robots have swords. If you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. And also from that comic, Cyberman Slitheen.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually like the fingers. Not the biggest fan of the faces or the fact that they have no necks, because the Slitheen have long necks, huge
Yeah.
necks. The
Yeah.
Slitheen are massive. And I think this design kind of diminishes them a little bit, but I do love the three claws. It's almost a callback to the days of the moon base when the Cybermen had three fingers for no reason.
Right.
Just it's this Slitheen this time, but yeah,
Yeah. I'm not a
I
fan
think
of those faces
yeah,
at all.
I think they could have done a lot better.
Yeah. I
They
would.
don't look very Slitheen to me. They look like something else. It almost looks like Ant Man's helmet.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, from the comics.
You got it. Oh my gosh. All right. Uh, yeah. I would say it's inadequate.
Inadequate. Above Cyber King. Below Cyber Leader.
It,
Would
it's in either one of those spots is going to be fine. Yeah, it doesn't knock anybody's socks off. So,
yeah,
but it's not obsolete. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not great.
yeah. And also, lastly from that comic, Cyber Jadoon. They just made a Rhino Cyberman. I like it. They could have made them a little bigger, much more bulkier, but I love the horns. I love that they gave them ears in addition to the handlebars and the headphone things. I love the head. Just
I like. Yeah,
I think the body could have been a lot bulkier because it is Jadoon after all.
yeah. I really like the horns on the face and stuff like that
Yeah,
too.
and the Jadoon also have a special function for the thing on their chest, so they could have added that to the Cybermen in this comic. But again, it's a frame of a comic, not even a full page. It's like
Right.
a panel, a square on the page. So they didn't. I guess they didn't want to put too much work into it. So where do you think this should go?
Uh, yeah. There's things that I like, so I would say it's sufficient. I would just put it near the bottom of sufficient.
There it is, near the bottom of
Yeah,
sufficient.
like at the bottom.
At the bottom, I'm actually
Yeah.
very determined to put push these guys as far down
Oh,
the list as possible.
okay,
So
yeah, okay, that's also fair. This is a, it's a cooperative here. Yep,
cool.
yep.
Okay, second
Okay.
to last.
Oh
This used
boy.
to be the last before I added something last minute. We get this Cyberman design. Can you guess
Okay.
where it's from?
I'm gonna say Big Finish.
But from where? Which doctor?
Oh, geez. Let's say, by the way, that I'm gonna say Second Doctor.
It's from the Ninth Doctor story.
Whoa. Okay.
They actually gave Christopher Eccleston not one, but two Cybermen stories, starting with this one, where they actually made an original design for the Cybermen. They unlike where is it? Unlike this thing,
Right.
they just went and made a full-on Cyberman from scratch, from the center chest piece to the arms, the face, the red light, the handlebars look new. I love this design. And as for the story itself, I'll give you a bit of an overview. Basically, the this Cybermen sort of broke away from the main cyber fleet, crash landed on Earth, and some guy found it and tried to pass it off as his own invention. Stop me if you've heard that one before.
Mm-hmm.
His own invention. He claims he invented a self-operating automaton, and he tries to use it as a prop in a movie. He tries to
All
he
right.
tries to sell it to a director to use in a movie that he's making. Now, can you guess the name of the director or the movie or both?
Oh geez. I'm gonna say uh I'm just taking a look at some of the other monsters, seeing if it gives me a hint.
The monster
I'm gonna say Ridley Scott in one of the Aliens movies.
that's a really good one.
Or George
Any other
Lucas in Star
guesses?
Wars.
What?
George Lucas in Star Wars.
Another really great guess. And do you want to guess again before I reveal?
Last one. Uh, let's say. Uh, uh, um, I'll say. Geez, I don't know. Leonard Nimoy in a Star Trek movie.
Okay, that's good. So the name of the director is Fritz Lang. The name of the movie,
Oh, okay. Metropolis.
Metropolis.
Very good.
So the name of the story this takes place in is Monster in Metropolis. So yeah,
Oh.
basically this is the original, or rather in Doctor Who, this was what they tried to replace the main robot from Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool story. You should check it out if you haven't. But that aside, what do you think of the design?
I actually really like it. I like
I
the
love it.
chat. I like the chest panel. I like how they have the the jumpsuit, but it looks a little bit darker. I like the uh, old fashioned way of looking at the actual helmet, and like as an actual steel helmet, and not as the balaclava look. I like the lamp. I like the how the tubes have those light up parts. There's lots to like about this actually.
I
But
think it's
I can see with that crown now, like that Metropolis kind of look to it.
yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think this is really good.
The crown almost makes it look like a Statue of Liberty.
Well, yeah, well that robot in Metropolis or Android, whatever they were calling it, uh, has that kind of crown over its head as well. Oh man, yeah, I think that's it. I really like this design.
And I also love the disheveled look on the face, like
It's sturdy.
Ashad.
Yeah, it's sturdy.
Yeah, because it crash landed and sort of stayed in a junkyard until someone found it.
Right.
And
Just cool.
it's also a really really good story. Uh, Again, just like Croton and just like some of the other standalone Cybermen we talked about, they humanized the Cybermen. Like they really made you feel and cry for a Cyberman. I was crying listening to
Wow.
this, and they also ended by having the Cybermen uh, watch the finished movie, watch Metropolis, and actually cry oil. And
Hmm.
again, I was crying, and I was uh, standing in line at the pharmacy. So imagine the situation that trying to explain people that I'm crying over a Cyberman story of all things.
Oh, brother. That's fine. It's good to see a man cry in public for no good reason. Sometimes
Yeah,
50.
sometimes.
Hmm. It's fine.
Where are we putting this though?
I'm going up. I would think near perfection.
I wouldn't even go so far as to put it in perfection.
Wow.
Because unlike some of these other ones we talked about, this is a fully original design from scratch.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
love it. Again,
I'm
it's
I'm
still
not
very,
I'm not gonna object. I think yeah, I was gonna go near the top of near
yeah,
perfection. So if you're thinking perfection,
it's
I'm
still
gonna agree.
very recognizably a Cyberman.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of aspects from Ashad here with the disheveled look, but it's completely 100% new and original, and I love it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, so the final one, the one that I added while we were doing the show, I mentioned earlier the Lego Cyberman from
Yeah.
Lego Dimensions. There's a boss fight in in that game that
Mm.
basically just gives you a gigantic Cyberman, and that's entirely brick built in Lego form. And obviously, at some point, the head falls off and sprouts tentacles and starts walking around. It's a whole thing. I I mean, the game itself was great when at its time. It's a shame they discontinued it, but the Cyberman design looks really good in my opinion. So, uh, but again, it's just taking a regular Cyberman design, just brick built from Lego and massive and tall. So
Yeah, I would say it's fine. I don't love it and I don't hate it. So I would think it's sufficient at best.
okay, where on
But I
sufficient?
never I never played the game. I don't know if it's a lot more fun or whatever to play against.
It's incredible, and one of the biggest mistakes of the world was the fact that it was discontinued. But
Hmm.
that's a rant I'll save for another day.
Okay.
But you said
Uh,
sufficient. Where do you
yeah,
want to
it's
put it?
it's sufficient. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I put it right around kiss makeup.
Kiss makeup. Wait,
Hmm.
kiss makeup is right here, or
No,
are
the
you talking
cartoon.
about
Yeah,
the
in the sufficient aisle. In the sufficient aisle. Yeah,
Croton?
Croton.
I
Sorry.
even put it below Croton,
Yeah,
right here.
perfect.
Cool. And that's it. That's the list.
Terrific.
Are you satisfied with this list, my man?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I think we got the right one uh, at the top of perfection, and I don't think it was going to be a surprise to either one of us.
Yeah,
And
I was a bit scared that one was gonna topple or dethrone the original 10th planet Cyberman, but thankfully didn't happen.
nope, no, we nailed it. The big surprise for me, I think, the Gallifreyan Cybermen. Uh, how much I enjoyed the look of that. Totally forgotten.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this before we wrap this up.
sure.
Do you think there do you think that next time we'll see the Cybermen with they're probably not going to have the Cybermen with David Tennant 14th Doctor, but when the Cybermen eventually make their comeback with Shudigatwa, do
Hmm.
you think they're going to continue the storyline with the Time Lord Cybermen, or are they going to do something completely new and original?
I think it's going to go complete, like just going off of what they do. It's not only going to be completely new and original story, it'll be a completely new and original looking Cybermen, and we'll just have to wait and see if they're going to improve or if they're going to, they're going to try and upgrade, but it's really a huge downgrade.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what they're going to do too. I mean, it's going to be hard to hide the fact that not only Gallifrey no longer exists, but also all the Time Lords are Cybermen now. But Russell T is going to come up with something very creative. I mean,
Yes.
in the spirit that what the modern series has been doing, with the whole one showrunner destroys Gallifrey, the next showrunner brings Gallifrey back, the next showrunner after that destroys Gallifrey again. It's a never-ending cycle. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Snark, but you know what? All of that is just conjecture. We're just predicting what's going to happen, and that is a story for another time. I
That's right.
guess our friends woke up finally on the other group chat that we're on. So let's just wrap
Good
this up really
timing.
quick
Good timing.
and yell at them for interrupting the end of our show. So, Mr. Snark,
Mm-hmm.
where can the good people of the interwebs find you?
Oh, where can you find me? You can find me on the Let's Get Ready Network, the highlights, talking English Premier League every week with my pal Adelia. Again, that's every Tuesday. So not long after this show comes on, you'll be able to watch me talk about the weekends that was in the Premier League. Also on Twitch, I have a show called LGRN After Snark. That's Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, and whatever time, wherever, anywhere else. That's live on Twitch. You can interact if you want. You can hang out and watch if you want. What else am I got? Oh, I'm reviewing the new Star Wars show, Ahsoka, on the channel as well. Our review of the first 2 episodes have dropped now. You can watch that over on YouTube or wherever you get your LGRN videos. I haven't ever watched the cartoons, so I'm going in with a bit of a blank slate. I guess that's why they wanted to have me in there, because I have no idea who any of these people were, except for Ahsoka. I knew who that was. So yeah, you can find me there on Twitter. I'm at Snark Yeti. I'm not a terrific follower, as I don't post very much, so you can follow it, or you don't have to. It's not, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep about it. But thanks for having me on, 50.
Thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also find me talking even more Doctor Who on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2022, as well as every Thursday on this show this channel right here on Fun with Flags, and this show, Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And you can also check out all the other friends we have on the wider Benverse at large. We've got Something to Talk About, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lovers Unite, The Midnight Cinema, 8-Town Reviews, So Diggin' Wrestling, and In the Front Row, who are both not pictured on this thumbnail because it's the old format. So, on behalf of myself and everyone, every Cyberman, whoever Cyber exists, thank you for watching. We'll see you next month with a brand new topic. And always look out for cyber people. Don't get cyber converted too much. And in the words of Missy herself,
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Goodbye.